Alright, so subleasing is one of those terms that you've probably heard of if you're a renter, if you've been a renter, if you're gonna be a renter. In this video, we're gonna talk about exactly what subleasing is, how to sublease your apartment, what the pros and cons are of subleasing, because it's a lot of cons, it's a lot of pros, and it's something you definitely want to consider. Gonna get started right now. Keep it locked. We're getting started. Let's go. Alright, so my name is RifleX. I appreciate you clicking this video. This channel is designed to help you manage renting and enjoy your renter's life. So if you're into that kind of content, definitely hit the subscribe or share this video with somebody who might be. Get started with the video. Now, a sublet, or sometimes called sublease, is a situation whereby a tenant leases out their apartment or their unit to a subleasee, and that person becomes a subletter or a sublessor. So let's say, for example, if you're traveling or if you're breaking a lease, you might want to consider renting out your apartment to somebody who will be willing to step in and pay the apartment while you don't spend money breaking a lease or be paying money on an apartment that you're not living in. Now, this totally differs from renting out your room to a roommate. This is a totally different situation from having a roommate where you both have your name on the apartment contract and you're making payments to that apartment. In a subleasing situation, the original tenant or the original person has their name and their name only on the contract. The subleasee is leasing to that person who has the name on the contract, which is different from a roommate situation where both parties have to have the name on the contract. Like I said earlier, there's many situations where you might consider subleasing your apartment. You might be traveling, you might be on the road for an extended amount of time, you might be considering buying a house and it's time to move in, and you are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months remaining on your apartment contract. So you might consider subleasing that apartment. That way you're not breaking the contract and paying a huge amount. Now, if this makes sense to you and it's something that you consider doing, it might be a painless and stress-free, out of your hair situational thing to do, subleasing your apartment. But if you're in a rush, it can get complicated, it can get hard. But that's why we have this video, and I want to talk to you exactly how to go about subleasing your apartment. So let's get started. Now, for one, you absolutely want to make sure that you are actually allowed to sublease your apartment. Make sure that you are allowed to sublease your apartment on the state level, on the municipal level, and actually all the way down to the landlord level. So your state can approve it, but your municipality does not. Your state and municipality can approve it, but your landlord or your apartment community doesn't. So you want to make sure and read all the laws, ask questions, hit up everybody that you have to, and make sure that you are actually allowed to sublease your apartment. The state might have approvals, or the municipality might have approvals in Maryland or wherever you're living, for example, to sublease your apartment, but the landlord or the apartment community might have a clause in the contract that states you cannot sublease the apartment. And this might cause legal impacts to you down the line. So definitely make sure you're informed and read the laws about if you're allowed to sublease your apartment. If you don't see a clause in there, definitely make sure to ask your landlord or your apartment community. Now, if you find that you're allowed to sublease your apartment, whether in the state, municipality, or landlord, definitely get that in writing. So get the contract, highlight it, or ask your landlord. If they say yes, if you was previously not in the contract, if they say yes, then definitely get it in writing and sign. That way you're not implicated or in trouble down the line. Now, secondly, you want to make sure you check with your renter's insurance policy, which usually covers things like your belongings, your electronics, or if you're somebody who has a studio in their apartment, like most YouTubers like myself do, they cover that stuff too. And in case of theft or a flood or, you know, a natural disaster damage, so your renter's insurance covers that. And it's actually required for most properties to have renter's insurance, sometimes as little or as low as $100,000 policy. So call or contact your renter's insurance policy, Liberty Mutual, whoever that may be, and get it in writing, get it signed if they are allowing you to sublease your apartment. Now, if they do not cover that apartment, it might be as easy as just you having to remove your personal belongings from that apartment while the subleasee is in the apartment. Remember, you pay your security deposit when you moved in, when you sign a lease. So any damages to your belongings is money out of your pocket. So you want to move your stuff, contact your renter's insurance policy, get that taken care of while your subleasee is moving in their apartment. Thirdly, you want to make sure you sign the sublease agreement. If you found the perfect sublease tenant, if you found a perfect person, you've vetted them, you've approved them, and you're ready to go, they're ready to go, you definitely want to find a good sublease agreement. You can find it online. There's plenty of templates online, and it might even be a good idea to contact your landlord or your apartment community to help you write the agreement. That way everybody is on the same page and everybody is in one accord. Find a sublease agreement after you found that person who's ready to sublease from you. Write that agreement, get everything in writing, get it signed before that person moves in, or before you move up, before you get out of the country and have to come back to fix things. Now at this point you might be wondering, is it actually a good idea for me to sublease? I might have pricked your interest, or this is something that you've been considering, and I want to answer the question of if it's a good idea for you to sublease. What are the pros and cons? Now for one, the pros is subleasing will help you not break your rental's contract. It will help you not break lease. If you're traveling for an extended amount of time, like we said earlier, or if you bought a house or for whatever reason you just cannot live in that apartment anymore, this will help you not break your lease or break the agreement, because that will cause a ding in your rental's history, and it will show up next time you go to rent an apartment. So you might be in a situation where you need another apartment down the line, and this breaking lease will definitely ding your renter's history. When they look at that and say, why did you break, your lease? And subleasing will definitely help you escape that. Secondly, it just helps you avoid losing money. Nobody wants to lose money. That's why I make this video. So help me make some money by subscribing, hit the bell notification so you get updates every time I drop something new. The subleasing will help you avoid losing money. Now, if you travel for an extended amount of time, say you went to Jamaica, say you went to Montego Bay, and you're living life for an extended, or you're doing a project in Africa, go to Africa and build houses, and you got to be there for an extended amount of time. You don't want to be paying rent for something that you're not living in. So put somebody in that apartment and sublease from you. That way they're paying for it and it's not coming out of your pocket. And third is a follow up to the second point. It just gives you the freedom to travel. That way you're not trapped in your house or worried, man, did I turn off the stove? I wonder if BG&E is really charging. How much is what that? No, those questions are not in your mind. Somebody's in there taking care of their property. You can go ahead and travel and feel free. Now on the downside, it's difficult to find a subleasee. It's difficult to find somebody who would sublease your apartment. If you're in New York, for example, or in a big city like LA, it might be easier to sublease your apartment to somebody on a little bit of a discount price, but it's just harder in more suburban cities or suburban areas to find, because people are crazy. You got to interview them, make sure that person's not gonna come in and put holes all in your wall. So it's definitely hard to find the right people and put them in the apartment and in the perfect timing. Secondly, there's the potential of the subleasee or the person subleasing breaking agreement or breaking contract. They might be like, you know what, I found an apartment, I was in a pinch, I needed one so bad, but I found something that's long term and I'm getting ready to move, I gotta get out now. And you're stuck, you gotta find somebody else, or you gotta start making the payments so the person can break their agreement. So definitely write those things down and get it all written and signed so that way you covered. And third, it puts your reputation on the line. If your sublease turns out to be a disaster, you might be in your landlord's bad side. You might be your apartment community's bad side. That way they looking at you now like, hey, you brought this person in and they are vandalizing my community, vandalizing my property. So it will put your reputation on the downside. You might have been there for 2 years in a stellar tenant. They know you, they collect your mail, and now these person comes in and just puts your reputation on the bad side. You don't want that. All right, so now with that information and you have your apartment, you're ready to travel, you're ready to do whatever you got to do, you want to sublease your apartment, what do? Post your apartment and market it. Put on your thinking cap, take some nice pictures. You can ask your landlord for some help, and you're the landlord now. Post it on TikTok, make some reels on Instagram, put it on YouTube, whatever. Put it out there, hit up your family members and market it. Market it. People will contact you, people are looking for somewhere to stay, and you can go ahead and sublease your apartment. Fourth, I hinted to it in the previous one, you want to definitely make sure you screen the people. Ask for references, get their phone numbers, call people and make sure this person is not crazy. Verify their identity, get them in a face-to-face situation, sit down with them in a coffee shop, whatever it is. If you don't know this person, make sure they're a real person and they are not crazy. I can't say that enough. Ask them what their monthly income is. Ask them how much they make a month. Ask them if they're willing to make a security deposit or as much as the first month's rent. That way they're serious. That way you're covered. Ask them if they've ever been evicted before, if they have a previous history of being evicted. If they're coming from an eviction situation, you definitely want to know that. Ask them if they've ever broken lease. If they're coming from a situation they just broke their lease, or what exactly is the reason why they're subleasing. Ask them if they consent to a background check, or if they consent to a credit card background check. So that is it. My tips on if you should consider subleasing, what the pros are, what the cons are, what subleasing actually is. It can be a great option for those who want to travel, those who don't want to break lease, those who want to save money. or those who just want to be free, or those who want to make money. So it could be hard, but it also can be a very easy, seamless process. Let me know what you think of this video. Let me know if you have subleased before, if you have been a subleasee before, if you're considering it after watching this video. Remember though, don't let the process hold you down. If you gotta go, you gotta go. Definitely apply the tips mentioned in this video. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.